right back to the nonprofit. This is what I had originally pitched as the fundraising ask for it. And it's kind of interesting as I think back about this. One, I think it's important, obviously, to break down overall, really at a high level, to give an investor a snapshot of where you're trying to raise money. And while we put this up there and that was to be, all accurate, in the end, as I started in the beginning, no one was willing to fund this idea because it was just an idea, and at that point I didn't yet have the partnerships with MasterCard and the bank and GuideStar and Network for Good. And so as I was pursuing this idea and I was learning more about it and networking into MasterCard and figuring out the right people, I was fortunate that I got 2 offers at the same time, one from Visa and one from MasterCard. And what I didn't know in this industry, and I was spending all this time trying to raise money from outside investors, is that the payment networks, Visa and MasterCard, if they like your idea and they believe in what you're trying to do, they compete against each other to try to win the deal. They want exclusivity. So we're only with MasterCard, where some programs are only with Visa. And with that, MasterCard gave us a signing bonus as well as some upfront marketing support money. So the beauty of Charity Charge, how I was able to get it off the ground, was that I was actually able to get funding, in a sense, upfront from our customer. And so traditionally, a lot of businesses are going out, they're trying to raise money, giving up equity or through debt from investors. And something that I was told, and it kind of fell to the wayside as I got caught up in this sensationalism of got to go raise money, got to go pitch people, is that if you can get a customer or someone that has some sort of vested interest in your company to give you money, that's really the best case scenario. Because then they're more bought in, and that really helps to validate your idea, and it help de-risk it for me as well. I'd always put up projections. It's kind of interesting to look at these because once we got into market, we started to realize a lot of different things about how we wanted to grow the business. I originally had thought that we were going to make key hires and build our technology and do certain things. But everything unfolds a little bit differently. And a couple of slides ahead, or one slide ahead, I'm going to jump through that. But I really think this is a really important part of the pitch. If you're going to be raising money, a key thing is people want to know, what do they get for it? What are you going to do with that money? So it's really important to show a story and put up somewhat reasonable, plausible numbers, which I don't think that these, even looking back on them, although we were seeing it before we launched, were too crazy of numbers to put up for the industry. But the whole point of trying to put these projections and milestones and growth and the fundraising ask, again, is to make sure that when you're raising money, you've actually got a plan for how you're going to execute it, usually at a high level. So I'm going to jump ahead. As I was mentioning, we launched about 9 months ago, and we put this consumer card in market that can support any nonprofit. It was not branded and purposely for any of the nonprofits. And as we put this out there, we started to hear 2 pieces of feedback. One is that corporations wanted to use this for their employee giving. So you could imagine Dell and their employees using this, and maybe they give back to Westlake High School, or they give back to any of the various initiatives they want to support, or Microsoft, or any of these local business. It's a way for them to infuse corporate social responsibility and show that they're a company that cares and gives a difference. So that's one market that we're actually going to be launching this summer and going into. So right now, we have consumers, individuals that are using this, but we're going to have companies use it for their everyday business. As they're operating and growing and running their business, they're also giving back to their community that they live and work in. The other area that I'm really excited to launch is we're actually starting to go a bit more B2B, or business to business. So we're actually turning a lot of these nonprofits that we originally started to work with into our customers by putting their brand on the card. That way they're more incentivized to promote it out to their donor base. And from their perspective, I had to go through about 2 years of work, minutia, contracts, legal, etc., that I had to absorb all those costs in that time. My company, the bank issuer, had to absorb all that. MasterCard had to absorb all of that. And now what we really have, you think of Charity Charge, it's a platform. It's this credit card in a box that we can rebrand for anyone, and we can route the donations and the cash back that they're earning to any partner that wants it. And so it's a super, what would be called turnkey way for someone to have a credit card program set up in a matter of weeks, as opposed to having to go through all of the pains to stand up and launch their own card program. You know, something that I share with people that was a big, really tough thing. I originally told you the story about how I had this idea, and I thought, when I was earning all these points, then I got this email from this nonprofit, and I thought, all right, this is great, let's do it. I was working at the incubator in part at the time, and a big thing that we did there was due diligence, where you just reach out to industry experts, try to assess the market, ask questions, things of that sort. And I ended up getting a proposal from one of the top payment consulting firms in the country, and they wanted a minimum of $250,000 just to help me get started, to go through the process of getting a partnership with MasterCard, getting a partnership with the bank, going through all that due diligence, the legal, all those things. And so now it's kind of cool because I've built that platform, I've built that product, and I know how painful and expensive that process is, and I can flip a switch and extend that out to any nonprofit group that doesn't have to go through all of those pains. And so part of, for me, the arc of this business is that you start out with your ideas, you pitch them as you believe they are, but once you actually get out into the market and it's real, and it's not just an idea where you can get pats on the back, you start to get real feedback from customers, and you start to assess what are other pain points, what are other problems. And so for me, if I had never even tried to move this idea forward and never went through all the challenges that I faced, I would never get in the market to learn these things. I think that's probably the cool thing that I would say for all of you as you're pursuing your ideas, whether through this class or in the future. Know that there are unknown unknowns, and there's always probably something great right around the corner that you're not even, this is true for life, business, whatever, that you don't even know exists until you push a little bit further or you take a few more steps. And for me, that's been a really motivating and inspiring thing for me. How I think about life is just the best is just right around the corner if you just stick at it. So very excited about these new products and kind of these wrinkles that we're going to be putting on top of the business to really grow it. Left this slide here because when I was pitching this, it was just me. It was the Stephen Garten show, and I've been fortunate to be able to bring some really great people into the fold. I have about 12 people working for me. One of them is a true full-time employee, another person is near full-time, a couple of interns, and the rest are consultants and independent contractors. But I was always told that it's team, that you need to have this done before you can raise money, and that and this. And it's just not true. Every business, every entrepreneur is unique. And I articulated to you that example where I got rejected by all those investors, and lo and behold, it was MasterCard that ended up giving me the money, right? Which not only gave me the money, but validated the idea. And so while I had brought other people that had been helping me out along the ways, sometimes you don't mesh well from a team perspective, etc. But the funny thing of this is I've now got some really great people around the company, which is really important. It is all about the people. But you alone, if you don't have a team, can take the first step. Or if it's just you and a buddy, everything doesn't need to be perfect. The important thing is just to keep moving and take little steps each day, each week to executing your business. For us, it's really clear that we've got an acquisition play if we wanted here. Fortunately, we're in the financial services space. If you think about banks, whether it's Capital One, Chase, Bank of America, Citibank, they've got enormous budgets. They spend an enormous amount of money on acquisitions. They rarely innovate from the inside out. They acquire that innovation. And so, there's a couple of complementary businesses to ours going after different markets, different wrinkles, but similar enough that we're focused around, we're going to go out, we're going to acquire credit card holders, we're going to acquire debit card holders. One of those was Simple. They were out, they were a business for 4 years, opened up about 100,000 debit card accounts, and then were acquired by BBVA for almost $120 million. And you can look at some other corollaries in the example. I don't know if you guys know, but PayPal actually bought Venmo from another company called Braintree for $800 million. So fortunately, being in the markets of markets, in this consumerism, there are a lot of acquisition plays. But something that I was saying to Aaron, we'll figure out on the way in, ultimately what the future's in store for Charity Charge. But my goal right now is just to grow the business and have fun doing that. It's been really great to be able to interact with all these nonprofits on a day-to-day basis, do public speaking, tell the story, focus on helping social entrepreneurs, and that's really what it's about. There's a pot of gold at the end of this, whether that's through cash flow into the company or for an acquisition down the line. And that's a big thing about this business that I really liked, is that on day one it started generating revenue. So our bank partner pays us a fixed dollar amount every time someone signs up for a Charity Charge card. They pay my company money because we've helped them essentially get a new customer, and they want more customers. So you can see their logos on the back of that card. If you look at any of your parents, if they have maybe a Southwest card, that's issued by Chase Bank. So Chase Bank's partnering with Southwest because they want Southwest to market the card and get more credit card holders of Southwest card, which essentially are Chase Bank's employees. So our bank pays us every time someone signs up for the card, and then MasterCard and the bank also pay us a royalty fee every month as cardholders make transactions. The thing about our model is, what's cool is, as a public benefit corporation, we underwrite all of those donation processing fees. So when cardholders are using Charity Charge, they're earning that 1% cash back. It's a tax deduction for them. It's going right to their nonprofits. And then our company actually underwrites and pays for those donation processing fees. So the full 1% of what they earn reaches their nonprofit. And that's the end.
We've got a little bit of time for questions. I would like to point out a couple of things. Would you go back to your exit strategy? So